right, well, a bit of bad news, although it's been a while since we've seen one of these. Of course, I'm talking about a price change at Tesla. This is number 4 of 2022. And if you remember, we had like 12 last year. So this brings us up to 16, I believe, price changes since this all started happening. Now, if you remember, back in February of 2021, we had a big price decrease, and it was pretty much across the board. So we had some pretty awesome prices, honestly. The Model 3 standard range was $35,990. The long range Model Y was $48,990 back then. And since February, we have seen prices continue to climb. And here we are in June. Our last increase was back in April. That was number 3. This is number 4. Now, this one's a little bit weird because we have some very sporadic price changes, but all Tesla models are impacted. So there is a price change for the Model 3, the Model Y, the S, and the X. We did just see lead times extend as well, and this was across all models. So that was just this week. A number of cars are now going to take even longer to get, which continues to be the case. As I've said in the past, the best time to buy a Tesla is now, even when there are these increases. And that is because we've been seeing these increases on a very frequent basis, and there's nothing to suggest that this is going to change in the short term. So starting over at the Model 3, the good news for the Model 3 is only one trim was impacted, and that was the long range. Now, the long range is obviously a pretty popular model because it comes with over 350 miles of range, all-wheel drive, very capable, very awesome car. But that went up $2,000 last night and now starts at $57,990. That is quite a chunk of change for that car. The Model Y long range continues to have ridiculous demand. The lead times continue to get pushed out. It's basically, you're looking at a year to get a Model Y long range, and the prices are reflecting that. And it went up $3,000 last night. It now starts at $65,990. That is a huge price, especially when you look at the low at $48,990. That's $17,000 that this car has gone up in price, which is significant. Over on the performance side, that went up $2,000 as well to $69,990. Now, the Model Y performance has been able to be delivered much sooner than the long range. So in my opinion, this price increase is probably to keep that gap between the long range and the performance respectable. So last night when this did happen, it took a minute before the performance went up in price as well. So for a few moments, the Model Y performance was only $2,000 more than the long range. Now, is it worth it? That is completely up to you. Of course, it has unbelievable performance, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, but you also have a performance suspension and performance brakes and performance wheels and tires. So depending on your environment, it may not be worth having that ride to go along with that incredible 0 to 60. The Model S and the Model X were not exempt from this price change either. So the long range Model S went up by $5,000 and now starts at $104,990. That is a lot of money. Now, it is a refresh and it does look awesome. The new updated batteries are pretty good from the tests we've seen. So they are getting a lot of performance out of this refresh. The Model X should be no surprise, but it did go up by $6,000 and now starts at $120,990. That has an extremely long lead time as well, and that is because it took them forever to start delivering these refresh Model X's. Model S, of course, did start delivering those refreshes much sooner than the X, so they are still behind. And if you want a Model X long range or a Plaid, you are going to be waiting for quite some time to get that car, much like the Model Y long range. Now, what's interesting is we've started to see Tesla has expanded the release of the standard range Model Y, which is an all-wheel drive car from Giga Austin, and that is now being offered to customers local, and it's starting to expand a little bit farther out of the Austin area. So if you're local and you have an order in, they're starting to offer that standard range Model Y. That standard range Model Y goes 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, it has all-wheel drive, 279 miles of range. All that equipped with the new 4680 battery cells, which is fantastic, which means you should have access to the full speed charging, unlike the standard range Model 3, which is limited to 170 kilowatt charge rate. But in reality, here's the kicker, and here's the disappointing part about that standard range Model Y. That standard range Model Y is being offered for $59,990. So up until last night, it was only $3,000 less, which on paper is not a very good deal. Now, you do get the new batteries, and there are other benefits, including having an expedited delivery, but the people who are being reached out to, of course, are kind of sort of in a Tesla way, going in order from when those orders were placed and local to the plant. So there's many of you who have a long range for much less than what it would cost to switch over to that standard range Model Y. I would not recommend doing that, at least right now, as that doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, if you were to place an order today for $65,990 and then they offered you the standard range for $59,990, now that starts to make a lot more sense, and this pricing is going to start making more sense, assuming they didn't change the price of that standard range Model Y out of Giga Austin. This is just another increase based on unbelievable demand that Tesla continues to dominate in the EV space, and it shouldn't really be a surprise why Tesla is the preferred EV on the road, and it's going to continue to be that way for quite some time. Now we're finally starting to see some viable options come to market, which is good. The downside is it's very limited supply out there, and you have to buy it from a dealer, which in many cases means it comes with thousands of dollars of markup because you have to deal with a dealer. We did just recently see price increases from other manufacturers as well, including Rivian, which is of course unfortunate, but that is how this is going to play out. As commodity prices continue to be high, we are expecting to see prices go up. Ford just announced this week that the Mach-E is no longer profitable due to input costs that have increased due to all these inflationary pressures, and specifically in the commodities markets where prices are sky high and don't seem to be relenting anytime soon. So with that, just keep that in mind until the market changes drastically. I wouldn't expect to see prices come down anytime soon. We were really hopeful that Giga Austin was going to bring in a new era of better pricing and more efficiency in these cars, but Tesla, at least for now, is using this ramp up period to offer only the standard range Model Y, which is not a car you can order directly. You can only be offered that car. So until Tesla gets full production out of there, and if they ever decide to start making the long range Model Y out of there, I wouldn't expect to see any changes, barring anything catastrophic in the economy. So although this isn't great news, I do hope that you enjoyed this update. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. If you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel as we continue to post content regularly. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bearded Tesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.